What's up guys, Armada here, and in today's video we are gonna have an AMA on Twitter and various other platforms. I have asked the fans to ask me any question, and now we have 8 questions from the fans that I will respond to. Best and worst part of being a substitute teacher. Some of you guys might not know, but in 2013 I was in fact a substitute teacher and working in the kindergarten as well. But yeah, let's think. Best and worst part. I think best part was just like, seeing that light in people when you taught them something and they finally understood it. That was a very good feeling for sure. And then another funny time was one of the students actually recognized me. I remember the door was open from the classroom and I was collecting tests, and one student passed by and he saw me and he was like freaking out. He was like, "Are you Armada?" And then he basically ended up asking me questions for like 45 minutes or something. So the entire lunch break was spent talking about the competitive scene of Melee and stuff, but it was very cool. It was very cool. And that guy actually ended up going to a few tournaments. I saw him like a few times at events after that, so it was actually very cool. Worst times, it was like one class in particular. Oh, whoever, actually these kids are, not in 9th grade any longer, but it was one class in particular. It was a lot of annoying people in that class, we'll put it that way. It was basically like extra Swedish and English. In Sweden you can have you can learn a third language, normally like German, French or Spanish, but you can also have additional English and Swedish instead of that. And yeah, that class, it was a lot of people that did not want to be there, to put it simple. So your patience was tested. You got very frustrated, but you can't show too much. So yeah, that was some of the worst times. But overall, I liked it more than I thought I would. So overall, good experience, and I feel like I learned a lot from both the good and the bad stuff. Do I have any major regrets from my competitive career? Not really. Like, of course you can pinpoint certain things that maybe would have made, the path easier. What if I never dropped Peach for Marth? What if I just, played Peach from the start? What if I picked Fox against Puff instead of Young Link? What if I made, this decision instead of this one, so I won this Super Major instead of getting second? All in all, I think we have a huge chance to grow from our mistakes, and I think all in all it was probably for the best. I think like probably maining Marth for a while taught me some stuff that could help my Peach. Playing Young Link against Hungrybox clearly helped my patience and defensive playstyle, so of course that probably helped my Fox out in the matchup to some degree too. So I tried to see it more from the bright side rather than like major regrets. It might possibly have happened something to someone that they really regretted for a good reason. But for me personally, I see it more as like I had a chance to grow from these mistakes, and I think in the end I ended up becoming a better player due to it. What will I be doing after Melee? Well, I mean, it's already been way over a year since I retired, and since then I've mainly been focusing on content creation here on YouTube and also on Twitch. Twitch.tv/ArmadaUGS. Just doing you guys a favor. No, but on a serious note, yeah, it's been a lot of focus on the content creation, also doing some commentary, and I've entered a few events here and there for Ultimate. Moving forward, I still do intend on focus on mainly the content creation, so a lot of streams, a lot of YouTube videos, probably some more commentary for Melee this year. Possibly Ultimate, but we'll see. I kind of feel like I have to just learn so many of the uncommon characters in a better detail. The thing is, I feel like when I say this, it's always someone saying that, oh, but you know more about the game than this commentator or this commentator. The thing is, I don't care if that's true or not. For me, I feel like I want to have a certain standard for myself when it comes to commentary, and I feel like if I can't deliver that, I don't want to jump on the mic just for the sake of being there. In Melee right now, I feel like I can contribute in a good way, I know, of course, everyone have different, preference in commentary. Some people like the more analytical, some people like the very hype commentary, some people like the mix. It doesn't really matter. I think, at least for my strengths, I feel like they should be good enough that I can justify myself being on commentary. So that's kind of like what I'm looking to do, right now still. Commentary more and content creation. I mean, like, as long as I can do content creation, YouTube and Twitch, I would love to keep doing it. But of course, it's like a risky business. Sometimes you have like really good months and then sometimes it goes down. It's like a roller coaster. But as long as I can do it, I would love to keep doing it. So to all the fans out there, if you keep supporting me, we're good for many years to come. At least I hope so. Any Ultimate player I would like to see play Melee? I mean, like, a lot of the top players from Ultimate would be cool to see them really try hard in Melee. Not that that's actually gonna happen, or very unlikely, because it's vastly different games, and already playing one game at the highest level is hard enough. But with that aside, if I got to pick one player that actually would try hard, I would probably pick Leo. And that's honestly mainly due to him being number 1. So it would be cool to see how the best Ultimate player would do in Melee. I do feel like it would take a long time for him to like get really good. Melee is just like a super deep game, and it's been out for like almost 2 decades at this point. But I mean, like, it's not impossible. Zero did play some Melee, and he was getting pretty good pretty fast for sure. So yeah, if I got to pick one player, I would pick Leo. But I mean, Void was playing a little bit of Melee for a while. Not sure if he still is, and I think it's always cool to see the crossover. So, but yeah, if I got to pick one, I would pick Leo. Worst experience with fans / players at events. All right. So worst experience with fans. It's more like really awkward. When it comes to the fans there. I guess the worst one, and I feel like every top player have experienced this at least once. Most top players probably experience it like once every major, more or less. Anyway, I think it's like, of course, like, it's a lot of like celebrity culture in the Smash scene. Probably true to other esports too, but sometimes you're in the line, going to the restroom, someone sees you, and they are literally, as you're about to like wash your hands or something like that, and they come up asking for a picture. I mean, like, I want to try to be nice to the fans, but it's a time and place for everything. And in case it wasn't obvious, when someone is trying to wash their hands or, about to take a shit, that's not the right moment. So yeah, in case it wasn't obvious, now it is. The other worst experience with player, I guess that would be, actually, yeah, this is like one of the very few, actually the only thing that comes to mind, which I guess should be a good thing, with how many years I competed. But at the very least, like, one of very few, if not the only bad experience I've had, was actually after Royal Flush. And as most people probably know, I lost that grand finals, game 10, to Mango. Good shit to him, by the way. And I remember it was like, after, we hugged it out, I congratulated him. Always a lot of respect between the two of us. So then after this was, said and done, I remember I had to go to the restroom, and me and Android, we were walking away, and I had my leather jacket on, so pretty easy to recognize me from behind. And it was like 2-3 people or something like that. They were like screaming after me, like, go back home to fucking Sweden. I was like, really? I was not even turning around. I did not want to give them any satisfaction, so I was just like, keep walking. And Android also noticed, but we just kept going. And I was like, this is like, come on, like, obviously you don't like me for whatever reason. I'm not sure what I did wrong. I probably didn't do anything wrong, but I mean, you don't like me, but I lost. Like, can't you be happy with that? But it's instead trying to like kick me down when I already did lose. But I was like, yeah, I'm not gonna give them the satisfaction. But yeah, that's probably. I think that's like the most fucked up thing that it's happened to me at a tournament. So overall, I guess it's good, all things considered. What's my favorite anime and TV show? So my favorite anime would be Death Note. In before I continue, I will say that my experience with animes are very, very limited. Uh, after, you know, animes I watched as a kid, let's say Pokemon, the only two I have watched since being a kid is Death Note and Code Geass. Code Geass I personally felt was overrated. Don't hate me, just my opinion. I don't think it was bad, but I don't think it was like that interesting either. But to go back to my favorite anime, Death Note, I know some people say that the last 12 episodes were bad. It was like, dragging the anime down. I will admit that the last 12 episodes were worse, for sure. I don't think if they were as bad on the rewatch. They actually felt a little bit better on the rewatch, since I watched it twice. But overall, I love Death Note. It was such a good show, and I think it was very well according to my taste. Like all the mind games, and both L and Light, really interesting characters, and it was so cool to see the dynamic between them and the whole cat and mouse play. I personally loved it. And yeah, I actually have a hard time imagining I will enjoy an anime more, but I'm currently in the process of trying to find a new one, but I haven't really decided which one I'm gonna get into next. For favorite TV show, probably a pretty generic answer, but I will say Breaking Bad. I will also say that I haven't watched that many TV shows compared to like some other people, but I've watched some, and Breaking Bad is my favorite. It's really interesting to see the character growth. It was really interesting to see how Walter White, aka Heisenberg, the transition from like Walter White to Heisenberg. And I feel like a lot of pretty much every character in the show is like, you clearly see their flaws, but with some of them as well, you also see the good things. It was like cool to see the contrast. But yeah, mainly Walter White, the whole transition to Heisenberg. And to me, I feel like the show was like progressively getting better, which is rare for a show. I feel like so many shows are dragging on forever, and it's like they just want to make money. And I understand like they want to make money, but I think it was very cool with Breaking Bad how season 5 is, to me, it was the best season. But at the very least, even if it's not your favorite season, I feel like most people would agree that it's arguably the best season, at the very least. So I think that was cool that it ended off on a very, very high note. Like some other shows that I've watched, and it's like, it kind of drags on. And you're like, you know what? This could have finished like 2-3 seasons ago. So with Breaking Bad, you can always like remember it and being like, that was a sick show. Besides video games, what's my favorite hobby? Honestly, it would be sports for sure. I did watch more sports as a kid and teenager than I do these days, but I still watch a fair amount, I would say. And when it comes to sports, it can be like, it's honestly a lot of sports. Football and ice hockey, I would say, is the biggest two, which ironically enough is also the two biggest sports in Sweden. So the two of them, but I can pretty much watch anything and be entertained by it. Basketball can be cool. I got to watch an NBA game live with Home and Waffles, Android, and one of Waffles' friends. So that was very cool. Athletics, like 100 meters, 200 meters, high jump, long jump, like pretty much any sport, and I'm cool with it. So yeah, I would say that's my favorite hobby besides video games. And yeah, I've gone to like a lot of games here in Gothenburg. Football normally with like my siblings and my grandpa. Ice hockey normally with friends. And just go out, grab a beer, and watch a game. Good times. So yeah, that's something I enjoy to do besides video games. Things I find better in the US compared to Sweden, and things I find better in Sweden compared to the US, with things I experience on a daily basis. All right, that was a long one. All right, let me think. All right, so when it comes to the US, stuff you can experience on a daily basis. I don't want to turn this into like some political discussions or whatever. So yeah, let's keep it simple. Stuff you can experience on a daily basis. All right, so with the US, I would say one thing I prefer with the US tends to be going out to eat. Obviously, you can go out to eat here in Sweden, and you can find a lot of good quality food, but it's much more common in the US to go out and eat. It's getting more common here in Sweden, but I feel like for a long time it was like more like you went out, more it's like a treat, special occasion, right? This also, I will say, like some of these things I will mention might just be my, very subjective experience of like I do live in Sweden on a day-to-day basis while I go as a visitor to the US. But still, even with that perspective in mind, I would say, yeah, going out to eat, I feel like in the US, it's very, very common. So it's a lot of great places, great quality food, easier to find diverse food than here, in my experience. So that's something I enjoy for sure. Another thing I would say is that it feels like Americans, or yeah, the US people, it's a little bit easier to talk to a lot of them. I feel like Swedes are more reserved, kind of like mind your own business type of thing. And I would say I'm a pretty social person. So I don't mind, even talking to like, strangers, like, but I don't know. It's just like, it feels like a lot of Swedes are not like that. But I like it a little bit more when people talk to each other. Maybe a weird one, but those are the two things that came to mind. And the two things in Sweden that I like miss when I go to the US, that I experience on a daily basis. Number one would be public transport. Like I'm about to be 27. I don't even have a driver license. And the thing is, it's because I don't need it. I have 3 different bus and tram stops within 8 minutes. 8 minutes is the furthest one away. The other one is like 3 minutes, and one is like 5 minutes away. And I can take a bus or tram like literally every other minute. And it's just so convenient. Which also reminds me actually that, yeah, that's another thing. Like the US, it's so much traffic in some places. I know it's more people, of course, but the lack of good public transport is so annoying. I hate to be relying on like Ubers or getting rides. Mainly like getting Ubers, but still, you're sitting stuck in traffic. It's just so convenient to have like public transport so close to you that runs all the time. So that's clearly something I miss when I go to the US. And the other one, this is probably going to be random, and some people might not agree, but whenever I travel to the US, I miss tap water. Tap water in so many places in the US is honestly shit in comparison. Like, people do their filtered water thing, and yeah, I guess it makes it acceptable, but it's still bad. And I know some people make a comment right now that, oh, you have never been to this part of the US, it's really good water. Honestly, very likely, it's probably only good with the US standards. The tap water in all the places I've been to in the US have been so bad in comparison to here. I know when Wizzy came over to my place, he was like living by the tap water. He was like sitting there, like water was coming out. It was like someone was seeing tap water for the first time. So that's like a little bit to give you guys perspective. He was living by the tap water. He was drinking. He was like, this is the best thing ever. And he was like drinking more and more and more. So if you guys think Wizzy is sitting drinking water between matches a lot, I guess it's a good thing he doesn't live in Europe, because that would take, sure as hell, at least twice as long. Alright guys, that's gonna be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this AMA, and if you have any additional questions, feel free to ask questions in the comment below, because I do intend on making this a series. So we're gonna do more episodes of this where we take questions from the fans, and of course we can't do every single one in a video or two, but I will pick out some good ones from this comment section below. And if you like this video and want to support me further, please make sure to press the subscribe button and turn on the notifications, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.